live on LinkedIn and YouTube. Hi,
Okay.
everyone. Good evening. Good morning to people joining in. Let us know you're here on the chat. Quickly introduce yourself. Let us know your name and the city that you're from. Fatima. Hi. Yeah, everyone else, Abhinav, whoever has joined in, Anna, yes, Luisa, Sarbjeet. Okay, Srividya from New Jersey. Okay, Jessica from New York. Nice to have you. Hi, Michael, Natalia. Nice, nice. Yeah, keep those introductions coming. I'm actually going to check on our audience on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So in case you're here, let us know, quickly introduce yourself on the live chat. We're going to be monitoring the live chat for questions, interactions. Yes. So today's session is actually going to be slightly different. It's going to be really, really interesting. So obviously you're going to understand how GenAI empowers project managers, does not replace them. So this is a question that we always received in our earlier sessions as well, which is why we have this session for you. Um, so we're going to help you understand how project management was before the start of GenAI, how you can leverage GenAI, and also we're going to discuss some examples. We've got an exciting session lined up. I'm not going to reveal too much because I'll let Bryan do his magic. And then towards the end, we're going to be talking about the PMP certification course as well, how it helps you, prepare for the PMP exam. We're also just going to shed some light on the exam overall, like the eligibility criteria, how you can appear for the test, what you need to have in terms of experience, and then we'll also end the session with the Q&A. Okay. So yeah, we already have about 100 people here, so I guess we'll quickly get started. Just some ground rules though. Let's say you have questions to ask Bryan, and I'm sure you're going to be having a lot of them about today's session, especially with today's session. Make sure you use the Q&A box. Okay, right? So how do you use the Q&A box? Just head to more, and then you find a Q&A, option. Just put your question there. The chat box, please use that, for interacting with Bryan during the session, because like I said, when we do these examples with GenAI in action, you're going to be, using the chat box to give in some prompts to Bryan as well. Okay, right? And remember that you have a couple of free giveaways towards the end, and I'm not going to be revealing that right now as well. So make sure you stay till the end. Pay attention to what's happening in the session. Keep your questions relevant to what's going on. Yeah. Hari, great input. Thank you so much, for that input. We do have a lot of courses around GenAI. Maybe you should check them out. But yeah, input considered, I'll probably pass this on to our curriculum team. Okay, great. So just a little bit about you guys. Make sure you answer this question on the poll for us to know you a little better. Yeah, the poll has a couple of questions asking your professional background and your total work experience. So just let us know, the audience on Zoom and also people on YouTube and LinkedIn. Please make sure you use the live chat to respond to what you currently do, what's your overall work ex. Let us know that on the chat. Yeah, I'm just going to keep this live for another minute, then we'll get started. We'll introduce Bryan to you and jumping right into the session. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Fatima, for responding on the poll. Thank you. Great. I'm just going to end the poll right here. And Bryan, you'd be interested to see these results.
Yeah.
A lot of them have,
Oh, yeah. A lot of experience.
a lot of experience. Even on, I think, LinkedIn, Monica is a senior vice president. She's the company secretary
Oh,
already.
great.
So yeah, a lot of senior folks as well. Yes. And at least half of them, belong to the tech, data, and the product domain, which is great. All right. Amazing. So now that we know a little about you, let me introduce Simplilearn to you. So Simplilearn offers skills in various domains. We've got certifications, we've got career aligned learning paths, and all of these courses are delivered in partnership. Let me introduce Bryan to you. Just a quick question before I introduce Bryan. Have you already taken a session with Bryan earlier? Just a quick yes or a no. Quick yes if you have. No. Okay, okay. On the chat.
Okay.
No. Okay. First
It's a
timer.
new group. Good. Okay.
New group. Yes.
A couple. I see one yes at least.
Okay.
All right.
Not many of them. Okay, which is great. Then
First
you would want
batch.
to attend. Yes, yes. You would want to attend more sessions, Brian, because they're always packed with insights delivered
Ah.
in the most, beginner friendly way possible. So if you are a beginner, have no idea about how to start, in project management, Brian is your go-to person. So he has immense experience there in agile project and program management. And why? Because he's got a successful track record as well. So he's transformed a lot of PMOs, which is project management office, in his journey. He's also a certified PMI trainer, scaled agile framework practitioner. He holds a PGMP, a PMP, a PMI, ACP as well. So he's that's why I said he's your go-to person for project management. Which is why I said, today's session is genuinely going to be packed with insights about how you can leverage GenAI in project management. So if you already are a project manager, you find this really, really useful. But let's say you're aspiring to become one, not exploring your opportunities. This is a great opportunity to learn. Okay. So let's jump right into the session, Bryan. Yeah, I would want to introduce yourself
Yeah,
as
sure.
well.
Well,
Yeah.
hard to add much more to what you just shared, but I'm really excited to be here. I think this is going to be a very interesting topic. Of course, everyone's, aware of AI, and I think most of us on this call are probably asking, so how's it going to affect me? So
Mm.
we're gonna dig into that and spend some time on that. Should be kind of fun.
Ab Absolutely. Before that, I think let's just understand what the audience feels about Gen AI. Okay, people are wanting to know whether this is recorded. Yes, it is. Quick answer to that. But make sure you stay till the end. Anyway, so let's understand from you. How do you think Gen AI will impact the role of a project manager? Okay. If you're here to learn, it's the last option, then great. But whatever your option is. I would choose the last option. I'm not sure yet. I'm here to learn and explore, but let me know what your answer is. Let's see. Audience on YouTube, LinkedIn, let us know your options. There's one, two, three, or four. Sometimes you may have more options to choose as well. Just make it a little quick because we want to get started with the session now after this. Okay. Okay, great. Here you go, Bryan. I'm just going to end the poll right
Okay,
now. And yeah, so what
excellent.
they feel is going to make your work better by handling the routine tasks, freeing up PM's time, focus more on leadership and strategy. Also true,
Mm.
right? So,
Yeah, this
great.
looks good. Looks like everyone's sort of aware, at a minimum, going to have some impact.
Yes,
But I
yes,
don't think people are quite at the point that they feel it's going to completely displace project managers. So that is encouraging because we're going to spend some time
yes,
on that topic.
yes, absolutely. That's what the session is all about. So let's get started, Bryan. So maybe why do you
Yeah.
think GenAI and project management is a formula for success?
Yeah, for sure. And if I can, though, I just want to spend a modest moment. I did recognize we have someone from Edmonton, Alberta. I live in Houston, but I spent a great deal of time in Edmonton, Alberta. And if you live up there, if you're a Canadian, you know we're in the midst of our Stanley Cup hockey finals, and the Edmonton Oilers are bravely battling the Dallas Stars. Sadly, They lost last night, Zohra. I feel for you, my friend. So we're gonna get through this together. Our Oilers are gonna come through. Just there's a few more games in the series here. Oh, we've got a Stars fan. Okay, well that's okay. They're a great team. I thought it was really exciting. It was a fantastic first two periods that kind of went downhill for us in the third period. So hoping for better results for our Oilers the next game. Anyways, that aside, so yeah, let's talk a bit about AI and sort of. I think most of us are sort of aware of, hey, AI is everywhere, right? We're seeing it in our social media feeds, and probably seeing the products that we're using. Even our browsers now are telling us, oh, it comes with Microsoft Copilot if you're using Edge or Gemini if you're using Google. And in addition, organizations across the world, across industries are leveraging or investing in some kind of AI adoption. And you can see
Yep.
some of the statistics there, 77% of all organizations are in the midst of this right now. So that tells us something. It's not going away. Companies are making very significant investments in this. It's accelerating very rapidly. So, even if you not spent a lot of time in this, and frankly, it's pretty new, so I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't had much opportunity to kind of dig too deep into it. It's evolving very, very quickly. So, even if you've been spending a lot of time with it, just every day seems to be some new advance, some new ideas emerging. So this is a really good time to start spending some time looking into AI.
Yeah.
It is going to be in all of our tools. In fact, I think even our Zoom is using AI for a lot of its features. It does a lot of meeting transcription and but all the other products that most of us use in an enterprise setting are certainly seeing AI embedded in it. And it's particularly going to have an effect on project managers, on how we write information, how we plan, how we analyze. So lots of things going on in this space. So this is a good opportunity to kind of dig into that a little bit. So really, the key message is not learning AI just isn't an option. You really do need to spend some time understanding it and finding ways to leverage it in your work environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. So, how was
mhm.
it before Gen AI? How was project management before
Yeah, and I know we've got a lot
Gen
of folks here with a fair amount of experience, so much as this is going to sound hopefully familiar, but rather surprisingly, project management in the past, and I've been doing this a long time myself, is actually a very manual activity. There is lots and lots of things that we have to do as project managers that are essentially manual. Even though we might have tools, we might be using Microsoft Project or Jira, Azure DevOps, you name it. We have to go in. We're often spending time creating tasks, assigning them to people, making updates manually to our schedules. We're calculating things like our budgets, etc. So those are all, generally speaking, very, very manual activities. And in particular, we write a lot as project managers. We're crafting project charters. We're tracking risks in our risks registers and logs. We're creating status reports. And all these are built typically in products of Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, and they're all often, sort of hand built, bespoke artifacts we're creating. And similarly, project schedules. That's generally a very manual process where we're creating a schedule and then we're reaching out to people to get updates on their schedule. A lot of times there's a big lag behind when we get an update from someone on how they're progressing with work and when we actually make changes to the schedule to understand their impact. And then even things like scheduling meetings, sending reminders, updating stakeholders are typically very manual, right? You're deciding who needs to attend the meeting, setting the meeting up, scheduling it, looking for time. All that is quite time consuming. So generally speaking, in the past, project managers did spend a fair amount of their time just manually doing these kind of updates. And one simple example is, if you're a project manager managing some kind of construction project, you're checking in on updates, if there's delays or things that are completed. You often have to kind of write that down on pieces of paper if you're on a job sites and things like that. Then you enter them into a project schedule, and then you understand what the impact's going to be on your project timeline. So there's lots of rich opportunities here to kind of improve that experience because it's gives us, it's harder to respond to some of the changes if we're seeing these kind of lags and there's a lot of these manual activities.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So how did it change? How do you think it's going to change with Gen AI then?
Yeah, so already out of the gates, if any of you are already working in larger organizations, you might already be seeing some of these new Gen AI features emerging, but things like automating scheduling. So Gen AI can be very effective at scanning calendars, understanding when people are available, booking meetings, making sure information is being provided in terms of the meeting context is going to be out, creating reports. Gen AI is very, very good at writing. So it's very helpful to kind of create progress reports, status reports, just to help save project managers time. And then it's very effective at the decision making because it can quickly analyze a great deal of data and then make some recommendations on next steps and strategies you can use. I've been using it frequently, even in project domains. Often, you're working in a new organization, you're learning about it, and trying to understand, what different options are available for different project types. And GenAI is really helpful to give you some good guidance, some starting points on how to approach structuring projects and managing sort of your project outcomes. So, and we're definitely seeing this in tools like Jira, Azure DevOps, even products that are a little more, I guess, in the sort of public and free domain like ClickUp, Trello, etc. Those all have built-in AI components, and it makes it very easy to kind of schedule updates and automatically create progress reports. So we're already seeing some of the benefits of this AI in these products.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's definitely a partner. It's not going to replace a project manager's role. So it actually automates a lot of tasks according to
Right.
what you said. So basically, project managers are sort of leaders. They help resolve
Mhm.
conflict, make sure business goals are met, and AI kind of helps in, all of these tasks that
Right,
project managers
right.
usually do. Yeah, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep, I think that's a really important observation is
Hmm.
that, there's tasks that Gen AI is going to be really effective at automating and simplifying. But at the end of the day, a big part of a successful project manager is their ability to communicate, to engage, to interact, to collaborate, and to bring people together. So, as a consequence, what we're probably going to see is a shift. A lot of the time that was spent in the past doing a lot of those manual activities is going to be reduced or freed up, which allows us to focus on things like leadership. So you can focus more on leading the team. What does that look like? Often it's explaining sort of what's the purpose, the intent, the goal of the work that we're doing. Many of the projects and teams that I've worked with often don't have a lot of that visibility. They're not always clear. Why are we doing this? Why is it important? So emphasizing leadership is something that Gen AI is not going to be as strong at, but a good human project manager will. Strategic decisions, so sort of that big picture planning, those critical decisions that need to be made. That's often where you're going to really see project managers excel. And those are often much more, value add or more impactful areas that project managers are going to want to spend time on. Problem solving. So while routine tasks are going to be pretty effectively handled with Gen AI, we're going to need project managers to solve complex problems. And this could be in the form of, hey, we're trying to make a decision about maybe a software product or a tool that we need to want to buy. It's not always the price that drives that decision. So Gen AI may be able to help you understand here's the lowest cost alternative for you. But we have other questions like what's the support look like and ease of use and any number of other criteria that a project manager is going to be able to provide some good guidance and insight around. So definitely, I think one of the things that in the past, if we were having this conversation 10 years ago, I think generally we kind of say, hey, project managers spend a fair amount of time at the task level. You're tracking tasks and making sure people are doing the right things and we're getting updates. We're probably going to see a shift from that more tactical task level view of project management to more strategic orchestration. So thinking more about the why behind the work, who
Hmm.
needs to be involved in the work. That's where we're going to see project managers focus on. And one of the ways I kind of think about it is you think about a symphony. Um, the project manager is essentially going to be the conductor. They're going to be the front of the symphony, all these different instruments and performers that are kind of working together to create that beautiful piece of music. Think of the project manager as the conductor that's sort of orchestrating that.
Got it. Got it. Understood. Obviously, there's certain things that Gen AI can't solve for. So
Hmm.
what are those? Yeah.
Yeah, so things that a logical one is emotional intelligence. This is that ability to kind of, meet a person where they are, kind of understand their communication preferences and style, negotiation and influence. These are things, again, Gen AI is not going to have a lot of ability to kind of contribute to. We're going to really lean on our project managers to provide that. Change leadership. This is even sessions like this, helping people get kind of familiar with new directions and techniques and practices. Gen AI is not going to have a lot of strength in that area. Cultural awareness, and this is actually particularly important if you're working in more global organizations. So being aware of sort of not just the culture of the organization, but other parts of the organization and those complex decision-making skills. Those are things that, again, we're probably going to feel a lot more comfortable having some humans, with their hands on the steering wheel before we're going to give those decisions away to Gen AI.
Absolutely. So I think let's jump right into the exciting portion
Yeah.
of the session, which
Ah,
is to look at some real world examples. So I think I'm just really excited about the examples that you have. So let's probably get started and understand. Think of yourself, all the learners here, as a project manager. So Brian, I
yeah.
think I'll let you take over here. I'll just take care of
Yeah, for
the
sure.
yeah
Let me
yeah.
step things forward. So the first thing to be aware of is there are lots of tools out there. This is a very competitive space. A lot of organizations are trying to stake a flag in this new landscape that has emerged. So we're going to just use one tool, ChatGPT, but there are lots of others. This isn't really suggesting that ChatGPT is the best. It just happens to be the one that I have a premium membership to, so it's a little easier for me to demonstrate. As I mentioned, I do have a premium membership. I can't remember exactly how much this costs, but it's about $25 a month, maybe $30 a month. It's not very expensive. I use it quite a bit. I think it's been a good investment for me. So we're really going to center our discussion around this particular tool, but like I said, there are lots of other ones out there. So with that, one of the first things we need to spend a little time on is thinking of a project name. Every great project has a good project name. So we thought we'd make it a little fun. If you want to give it a little thoughts, if you've got some ideas on what a project name could be, why don't we pop that into the chat? You can be
Yeah,
as creative as you'd like, and
yeah.
let's see if we can come up with an initial name for our project.
Yeah, anything. So audience on LinkedIn, YouTube as well. So let us
Hmm.
know. I mean,
Yeah.
any
Mhm.
name that comes up in your mind. You use that and then demonstrate how you can use ChatGPT.
That's right. Now, this is a little unscripted. Hopefully, we won't get any really radical project names. Oh, well, fuzzy bunny slippers. That's a winner right there, Maggie. I love that. Apocalypse planning. Okay.
Apocalypse planning. Okay, yeah, that's definitely
Border
radical.
Coast Genesis. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, we're getting some great ideas. Starting to sound like a winner. Oh boy. Yeah, that's a real project right there. The Trump Tower guitar. Interesting. Okay.
Mm, no,
Getting
superhuman. Okay, Project
there we
AI.
go.
Okay,
Love it. Love it. Solar bulletproof Kevlar. Wow. Jump into a project. Okay, yeah.
right.
Well, what do you
Interesting
think?
names.
Yeah, these are all very creative. We've got a very creative group here. AI Gin. Oh, that's a good one too. Kind of gin like a
Oh,
oh,
nice.
dogs rule. That's interesting that you bring that up because you'll find out in a second. We're gonna take a little different tact on that, but the dogs are great.
Yeah, dogs are
Cyber
great.
okay. Big AI, awesome. Okay, well,
Should
let's
we
what do you think? Did you see one that jumped out?
should we make the big reveal now? Or
Yeah, sure. Well,
you
I've got to
sure?
pick something. So yeah, we need to pick one of these. Which one was there one that you liked in particular?
Let's pick superhuman.
Superhuman it is. Okay, we've
Yeah,
got a
yeah,
project here. Excellent,
right.
excellent. Well, thanks everyone. That was awesome. Okay, so the other thing we're going to need to do is think of a few names who help us, generally in our project settings. So we've got a couple options here. If you would like to be immortalized in today's session, you can just raise your hand and we'll use your name as one of the project sponsor, product manager, or game design, or if you've got kind of a funny name you'd like to see included, you can pop that into the chat and I can use those names.
Dilip, we've got Dilip. Let me just put it on the chat so
Oh,
everyone's
sure.
Dilip, there's Surya,
Well, look at
there's
there. Athar's jumping in there. He wants to be remembered. Sure. You can be the project sponsor.
another.
How's that sound? Oh, he wants to be the project manager. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Like,
we've got a few names. All right. All right. All right. Well, if you're comfortable with that, yep, pop your name in there. And
okay.
okay. Yeah. So we'll post that question
Krish,
there.
Krish,
Awesome.
Krish sounds like a cool name for a
Yeah,
project manager.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've
Great.
got probably enough. I'll probably just have to, I know there's a lot coming in here, so I'll just grab a couple names that I can pop in there, and we'll use that to kind of get the ball rolling here. All right. Should we move
Sure.
on to the next slide, Aparna?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Okay. So a few things just to start with. ChatGPT is going to respond to this idea of a prompt, something that it can kind of look at and parse and understand. So we're going to use this as a prompt here. Um,
Hmm.
and we're going to assume that a project manager is assigned to create a new mobile video game called Cat Saver. I guess we could have called it Dog Saver. We still can, by the way. So we've
We're
got
gonna stick to cat saver.
real passion about dogs versus cats. Um, the objective of the game is to guide a lost cat back to its home. Target audiences are the ages from 13 to 40. Game should allow players to set up a profile and complete a series of challenges to guide their cat back home and unlock achievements based on their progress. Companies eager to release the game and start generating revenue. Timeline for the project is 6 months, and the budget is $400,000. Our project manager is project manager, we could also say, is Katniss Timeline. All right.
Right.
So with that, should we do a big reveal and show there's a picture of Katniss? So I actually used ChatGPT to create this. I don't know have any of the artistic skills to create something like that. But that's kind of what makes these tools kind of fun is they're very creative as well. So you can say, hey, I need a little avatar that kind of represents this. So there is Katniss. She is going to be our project manager for this. And we got a little avatar for her. So I'll probably
Yes.
need a little permission now if you
Right.
want to, you want me to, I'll demo now. So I'll have to take over permission to
Yeah, yeah.
share.
One sec. I'm just doing that right away and I'm going to stop sharing. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. I turn, let me share. Bear with me, folks. Somewhere around here is, okay. And, okay, let me know if you can see my screen. How's it look? Can you see it, Aparna?
Yeah, yeah, I can.
Okay.
If you can just
Wonderful.
zoom in a bit.
Oh, is it a little hard? Yeah, sure. Is that a little
Yeah.
better? Is it still hard to
Yeah.
see? I've got one
No,
of these
this is
big monitors.
no,
Okay.
this is better.
Okay. So as you can see, I've already been sort of doing a little experimentation in ChatGPT. If you've not used ChatGPT, you can see the URL at the top. It's very simple, chatgpt.com. You can go there, create a free account. But as I mentioned, I use the commercial version, which just frankly gives me more opportunity to kind of use the product without it pausing me periodically and saying, well, you got to wait for your time to reset. So here we have our ChatGPT. I'm going to come back to our screen here and let me grab our chat. So this is going to be very straightforward. I'm just going to take our prompt here and I'm going to copy this in. Okay. And bring back our, sorry, my little Zoom controls get in the way. So, all right. So I'm going to paste this in here. This is going to give a little information to the tools whom project is assigned to, oops, I got a little to create a new project. Okay. All right. And we'll enter that in. And it's going to take this information. It's going to think about it. Oh, and look, right out of the gates, it's providing us a overview for the game. Hey, So it gives us a short summary, some objectives. Now, notice one of the things it's doing immediately is making some inferences, right? It's saying, hey, we want a fully functional cross-platform iOS and Android mobile game. It's tracked a few of the things that we've identified: user profile creation, challenge tracking, achievement unlocking. But look, it added design a scalable monetization model with ads and in-app purchases, right? So we didn't tell it that. It kind of came up with it based on other projects that are similar. Now, as it turns out, this would probably be something we would expect to see in a mobile game. Um, it did talk about that early release. We're trying to find some minimal viable product we can release out to our customers. But then it sort of included a metric here, right? 100,000 downloads in the first 60 days
Mm,
post-launch. Okay. Now, as we just mentioned, this looks pretty reasonable. But we want to kind of pressure test this as project managers. We probably want to check with ourselves and say, is that realistic? Is it really 100,000 downloads? Is that something we're targeting? Do we want a larger number of downloads or some different number? So these are places as project managers, you're going to need to spend a little bit of time and just check or is what you're getting from the tool helpful? But a couple things have already happened. One is it's kind of packaged up that blurb of information I shared, put it into a series of bulleted objectives. Okay, that's helpful right now. If you want to email this out to your stakeholders, you've got a project kickoff coming up, you can say, hey, here's some objectives, make it easier to communicate to everyone. And then in addition, we've got a few of these other topics that we can dig into and probably going to be helpful because maybe we didn't think about, yeah, that scalable monetization model. That is something we'll spend some time thinking about. Or how many downloads should we expect in the first 60 days of post-launch to help us understand how this product is tracking? We've got some um, target audience. Now we specified this age range, but then it also threw in casual gamers. It's a mobile app. Probably makes sense. It'd be more oriented towards casual gamers. It's pet themed puzzle style games. Those are the folks who are looking for. And light episodic gaming experiences. We've got some detailed here. So we're going to start this on June 1st. We're going to launch it on the 29th already. If you're a project manager, what do we tend to think of? We tend to think of schedules, when things start, when things finish. So we've got that timeline already emerging. We've got a budget that we identified, and it has given us some ideas on cost categories we want to allocate that budget around. So game design, art and animation, our quality assurance, our testing, marketing, promotion, and then platform fees and infrastructure. So all those are going to be components or categories within our budget. And look what it's done here. It's identified a few risks already. So it's
mm,
already giving a bit of thought to, here's some of the things to be aware of. App Store approval delays. Now, if you not work too much in the space, and I can't say I've built a lot of games that have been deployed for consumers, but I am aware that the app stores that you host these games often do have some reviews that are required, and there can be delays. Either they don't get around to approving it, or maybe you got some questions or some potential issues that you need to address. So those would be examples of a risk, and that seems pretty reasonable. We might see some scope creep, right? Not a big surprise. People want more things, so we need to understand where the threshold is. Performance issues across devices. These are different, products like iOS, the Apple products, and the Android products. So there could be performance issues that we're going to have to work through. Art asset delivery. This is often one of the bigger parts of mobile game development, so we could see some delays there. So yeah, all that looks pretty reasonable. There might be other risks that we also want to give some thought to. So again, as a project manager, you should be looking at this as, oh, that's a really helpful starting point. I don't have to think about these ones at least in much detail, but there might be other ones I need to add to it. We've got some success criteria, of course, releasing on time and within budget, classic project management goals. We want to get positive feedback, certainly during the beta testing. We want those monetization features integrated and functional. And we want good engagement metrics, high App Store ratings, 4.5 plus stars. So, and then it asks if we want to format this as a PowerPoint slide or some kind of PDF or put it into a project charter. So let's pivot over to that. Hopefully you're still
yeah.
seeing my screen here.
Yes.
Okay. So, as project managers, and I'm guessing a few folks here have worked on, larger, more traditional PMI Project Management Institute projects. So, a couple things you're going to be familiar with if you've worked on those kind of projects is is some classic outputs and artifacts that are produced using that PMI project delivery lifecycle. So the first is a project charter. What is a project charter? Um, it's a reference that tells us sort of the scope and outcomes associated with our project. So we have here that we've got, here's one prompt. Let's create that. Now notice the tool is smart enough to say, hey, do you want me to create a project charter for you? Because it's a very common artifact. And we can say, so I can either enter this in, which is, yep, create that one-page project charter. Um, or I can say, let's see, let me be experimental. Let's see, yes, create a project charter with stakeholders and risk registers included. And let's use our names that we have for a project sponsor. You might have to help me a little bit here. Who did we decide as our project sponsor name for this?
I forgot as well. Let's, I forgot the name. Okay, let's pick Krish. I found the name to be cool.
Okay, yeah,
And
Krish, absolutely.
someone said Elon Musk, so maybe the next name can
Ah,
be.
Mama. Gee, I don't know. That might not help our project too much, but under our response, our yeah, product manager is yeah, so we can go with Elon, why not?
Why
And
not?
uh we'll
Let's
say
see.
meta
Hmm.
monetization. Oop, I gotta spell it right. Is any other names that came in? I guess I can look back in our chat
Yeah,
histories.
I am actually doing that. Nothing
Okay.
interesting. Okay, Christopher. Okay, fine.
Christopher. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we got okay, fine. I thought so, yeah. So anyway, let's roll with that. That's probably a good start. Um, and okay, let's see what happens. Okay, boom. There we go. So here's our project starter. Now
Hmm.
notice it's also very responsive, right? It would take a long time just typing all this out. It's how long it took me to type this all out. Um, so here we go. Now, a few things. So right off the gates, it's echoing back what we told. Now, one nice thing about the tool is that it remembers. So everything you've kind of entered in the past, you can pull back out at different points. Um, we can see again, a lot of the things I think are all kind of already look pretty familiar because we saw them. But look, we've got a challenge engine, 15 plus levels, unlockable rewards, scalable monetization, analytics tracking. So that's something, again, probably want to give some thought to. How are people using the product? That's often a place that many people tend to forget until they release and they say, oh, well, we need some more analytics here. We've got some timelines, assumptions. Okay. And here is our stakeholder register.
Right.
Okay. Now, one thing I'm going to highlight. So again, this is why I think of AI as your companion.
Hmm.
Now, just the fact that it's taken the time to kind of format this and structure it and everything, that's been really helpful, right? It saved quite a bit of time right out of the gates. But I believe, didn't we say Elon was going to be our product manager? And I think it picked it as
Yeah.
manager. So uh,
Oh, yeah,
yes,
I
so
did.
be aware of that. Sometimes, it's gonna miss something or it's gonna apply its own sort of idea here. By the way, that's no different than humans. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and described one role as a product manager and they hear project manager and you're going, no, no, wait, I
Hmm.
really mean product manager. So that's not uncommon. But again, this just keeps reminding us that this is helping us be a little bit more efficient, but it still requires a human being, a project manager, to kind of look at and understand what that content is. You can't just sort of copy, paste, send it out without reviewing it.
Yeah.
Let's spend just a minute on the risk register. So we got risk. Now, good things that we look for in a risk or any risk that we're managing include impact and probability. So we've got, so it's good to see those there. We've got some mitigation strategies, some suggestions on how we can lower the risk of those items. So for the App Store approval delays, definitely would have a high impact on our schedule, right? If we have a delay, it's going to prevent our ability to maybe deliver by the 6 month window that we have. Probability is medium. And what's our mitigation strategy? We'll submit early and then make sure we understand the platform guidelines. So there's a whole bunch of things that we can do to kind of lower the risk of that particular item there. So those are things that are kind of helpful. So again, these feel like, in having done many, many projects, this is where a lot of time is often spent is thinking about potential risks and then writing them up in an effective way. So right out of the gates, you're getting some pretty powerful ideas you can move on.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I think so. It also depends, I guess, on the input that we give, the prompt that we give, and then
right.
also, like you said, it's always good to review the output. Maybe another thing that it could help with is probably just ideas, and then people can just think, extrapolate from there, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah, yeah.
exactly right. Now, what you could do too, and we can experiment a little with this, add additional columns. And just as you said, these are the prompts that we should be asking.
Hmm.
And we might say, hey, that initial risk register, pretty good starting point, but I'd like to see maybe more columns, add additional columns to the risk register that show the um, combined impact times probability of risk, risk owner, and a risk trigger, perhaps. And it's going to say, oh, okay, let me think about that. Here we go. So impact time probability score, there we go. So now notice it's added in a little bit richer level of detail.
Hmm.
Okay, so, and again, in the past, this probably would have taken me an hour. I would have had to go in and add the columns and add the more details. So the fact that it's able to produce this so quickly is just a great starting point that's going to save a great deal of time. And remember, at the start of this, we said, okay, well, what's that going to do? It's going to free up project managers now to focus on what's the real value we're trying to produce. Let's make sure that people are aligned, that we're communicating effectively, that we're focusing on those more complex decisions that really benefit from project management and other sort of human interaction. But this hopefully is giving you a quick flavor of sort of how we can use ChatGPT as a project manager. So I know we unfortunately don't have a lot of time here. This is part of the reason, Simply Learn is here. We've got some really great courses that go very deep into this, that give you lots of good hands-on practical application of these tools, and also some guidance on how to structure these prompts. In fact, I'm a little curious here. Look, would you like a color-coded heat map version? Say yes, a color-coded heat map. Let's just see what it comes up with. Let's see what it figures out. Now, I always find the graphic parts here, like when I created the avatar, a little bit interesting. You never quite know what what you can expect. But what it can tell you is this. When I first started using ChatGPT, probably about a year ago, and I would prompt it for some kind of visual, oh my gosh, it was all over the map. I never quite knew what I was going to expect. It often mismarked. But boy, has it dramatically improved in the last year. So I'm expecting whatever we are seeing today, imagine this is the worst it's ever going to be. It will just get better and better. So here we have, so again, like this is one of the interesting things
Wow.
about the heat map. Yes, this is interesting. I don't know if I'd necessarily consider this a color-coded risk heat map. So it's making some of its best inferences. Notice looks like there's a little bit of some maybe formatting issues here. So
Yeah.
some of these features aren't going to work as well as you might want them to,
Yeah.
but they can also be inspirational. You can say, hey, that's interesting. Maybe I will sort of, you know, leverage this as a way in which I can communicate sort of the risk impact of these items.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
well, let me pause. I don't want to take up all our time because I could probably spend hours going into this. Do we have questions that maybe people shared You
They
know,
do, they do, they do. So okay, I think when you okay, a learner just had an input. So when you export it, I think the color code kind of sets itself, right? Okay, so we have a couple of questions on can we use GenAI with P6 and PRA software to evaluate project progress and risk? That's a question that Fariz had on the Q&A
okay.
box. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to confess, I'm not super familiar with those acronyms, but it sounds like those are tools or maybe they're techniques, practices. So the short answer is yes, absolutely you can. You might have to structure your prompt a little bit. Sometimes you need to also put some time into kind of building up a repository of information. And a lot of times in projects, there's already a lot of artifacts, documents, spreadsheets, PowerPoints, whatever they might be, and you can load those into the tool, and then it can reference that to kind of come up with its own analysis. So you might have to prompt a little bit of that, but yeah, quite confident that you'd have some means to both format that information for those tools you're looking for, those techniques, but you might have to sort of seed the ChatGPT with that information.
Understood. Another question, very interesting. How can I use this? How can we use this in an organization? There's a big, in an organization has the big blocker is AI and does not know. Okay, I did not understand that question. Saikiran, if you can rephrase that for us to be a little clear, but it seems interesting. I mean, from what I understand, I think his organization is a little resistant towards AI. I guess that's what his question
Mhm.
is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so a few things if you're not generally familiar with this, and by the way, again, this is where some training, taking a course in this is just so valuable, and this is a really
Mm,
good time to
mm,
make that investment. By the way, you'll get a remarkable return because just as you shared, many people are just unfamiliar with this. They've heard about it, but they really don't see the application, or they've got some questions about how to use it. So it is not uncommon for a lot of organizations, very rightfully, to be concerned about using ChatGPT or other AI tools. And part of the reason for that is if you use sort of the public domain version and you put information into it, there is a valid concern that that information might be used in sort of the public large language models that these tools use. So
mm.
now larger organizations can address that by signing, a contract and getting their own instance that's sort of firewalled and protected. So my guidance would be, look to your organization policies on this. Um, if it's a little more free form, a little more latitude, it's not uncommon to just kind of do this, off the books, if you will. But yes, understanding sort of how the intellectual property is going to be used and making sure you're not sharing something. And a good example, I think there's a famous one where some developer, I think it was at
Mhm,
Cisco, they
mhm.
took this huge code base, they put it in ChatGPT to say optimize it, which it did, but they were unaware that that code then became part of the large language model that other organizations could use when they were trying to refine some of their code. So you do have to be a little thoughtful about what information you're using and then making sure that that information is protected.
Right, right. So another one which is very interesting that just popped up. The other students, you can wait for a while. So is Copilot the best AI tool to have a GenAI waterfall project Gantt chart downloaded or transcribed to MS Project or Excel? Or are there other tools that you recommend or use yourself as well?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great one. In fact, again, I won't
Mm.
take all our time because we're already getting a little tight here, but I did
Yeah, yeah.
actually, use a bit of an example where I fired up ClickUp. So when you ask which is the best tool, not sure I can really give you explicit guidance on that. There's a rich set of tools out there. I think ChatGPT is great. I use it all the time, but I'm also aware there's many other products out there, and you might want to do some exploration and find what's the best fit for your needs. But you can export, so you can quickly sort of do an export of that information we just saw. So I think earlier I kind of asked it to provide a CSV that I can download.
Yeah,
Scroll up. Sorry if it's screaming by your screen really fast here. Here it is. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
see I said I download the CSV version of this schedule. So it came up with a milestone plan for the game starting June 1st. Here's some key milestones. And then I use a free product called ClickUp, This isn't really, suggesting you use ClickUp, but it is free and it allows you to do imports. And from here, you can just quickly say, hey, let's import some of this information. So we'll start an import, bring a spreadsheet, and let's see if I can find it. And okay, so anyways, again, I don't want to spend too much time kind of going through the steps here, but it's very easy to produce these products. So if I just drop this in here, it's going to do some parsing. There's a lot of information because there's only a few files. And so the milestone, we'll give this maybe a due date, description, target date, date created. All right, there we go. And then boom, it's going to kind of add all this information in. And again, this is just helping us a lot, right? It's just making it a little easier to kind of build this out, create sort of um, the initial schedule for the product, or in
Right.
this case, project. So, anyways, all right. Well, let me pause right there and give you back control because gosh,
Sure.
we've already used most of our time here, which I knew would happen because there's just so much in this. And while you're talking, maybe I'll take a look at some of the questions and respond to them. How does that sound?
Yeah, of course, of course, of course. So I think now you understand the possibilities that AI has, and which is exactly why we bring to you this course that also has GenAI enabled, like all of our courses. So just to take you through how the PMP certification training helps you in this journey and helps you become, I mean, come closer to your journey in becoming a project manager is there. So you've got syllabus that's covered from PMBOK guide, the latest PMBOK guide, and covers all the agile frameworks as well. So basically, our curriculum is aligned with the latest exam structure, and not just that. So you don't just learn these concepts or the principles of project management. You also understand the real time use or real world use through case studies and also simulation tests at the end of each module that just help you apply what have you've learned and understand this in the project management context, right? So I did mention in the beginning of the session that our trainers are all PMI certified. So you've got people who are industry experts who've got immense project management experience as well. So just to highlight here, I'll let Brian also kind of highlight this. So for applying for your PMP test, you will need at least a 35 hours of training, and this certification training helps you with that, right? So Brian, if you can just quickly only highlight the eligibility criteria, which we always do in all sessions, but maybe along with the contact hours, what else is required, by a learner in order for them to apply for the PMP exam?
Sure. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Very common question. The PMP is a bit unique amongst many other certifications. It does require some prerequisites, part of which is satisfied through taking the training through a authorized training provider like Simplilearn. But in addition, you also have to demonstrate you have sufficient number of hours uh, working in project management responsibilities. So you will be expected, depending if you've got a 4-year university degree, or if you don't, that number is going to vary, but generally speaking, you need about 4 years of practical experience working in projects, in different project roles. That will be a prerequisite. And then the training. And then once you've got both of those together, you will submit an application and that application gets reviewed by the PMI. And once they say, yep, you've satisfied those entrance criteria, then and only then can you take the exam. And the exam itself is quite thorough. It's a 4-hour exam, so there is a lot of preparation that goes into this. But again, what's important about that, and I know we're talking about how AI is going to affect future projects. My thoughts on this, and I'm seeing a lot of this with the organizations I'm working with, is that companies increasingly now are going to be looking for certified project managers. I think a couple years ago, there was maybe this feeling that, you don't really need a PMP. This isn't that hard to do. We can just use anyone in the company. But now I think those types of responsibilities are going to be displaced by AI, and project managers now are really going to be strategic investments that organizations are going to be looking for. and they're going to expect people with PMP certification. So there's a lot of work that goes into getting your PMP, but the return is, I think, you're going to be a highly sought after skill set in the
Right.
market.
Understood. So, which is why I think this course helps you with exactly that.
Hmm.
We've got, if you can just, Brian, you can also highlight. By the way, do you also have a hard stop in the next 4 minutes, or how much time
I
do you
think
have?
I've got a little bit more time today, so yeah,
Yeah,
I
okay.
buffered, expecting this might go a little over.
Yeah,
But yeah, let's
great.
talk real quick about the holistic curriculum. I think one of the things Simplilearn has done a very effective job is thinking about how can people use these skills in a real world setting. So they kind of mirror that. I think you're going to see a lot of very, pragmatic orientation around here's what we're going to cover and here's how you can apply it, and it follows a very natural sort of flow. So we've, of course, going to start with course introduction, talk about the environment around us, things like what things are happening in industry and trends and directions. But then we're going to start digging into how do we start? How do we initiate a project? How do we plan? How do we execute? How do we monitor and control? How do we close that project? Okay, so that's all sort of the space that a project manager is going to focus on. A big part of this is how do we support high performing teams? How do we help that project team really excel? And what's the role of a project manager in doing that? And then we're going to wrap things up. And a big part, it doesn't really get called out in this bullet here, but I think one of the more impactful parts of the offerings that Simplilearn provides is this idea of here's some case studies, some project examples that you can look at and think about how you can leverage some of that guidance and take it forward into your organization. And then there's some application assistance. And this is mostly, it's actually kind of a complicated process to submit your PMP application. So one of the nice things I think um, Simplilearn offers is support for that, saying, hey, we'll
Yeah.
give you some things and support, give you feedback, make sure you're going to be successful when not only applying for the exam, but also completing the exam.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Brian mentioned, the PMP exam is slightly tricky in terms of applying and also getting your application through and eventually taking the test. So, we help you with that as well. And of course, through this course, you also understand how you can leverage Gen AI in project and quality management. So, something similar to what you saw today in a much more detailed format, right? So, that's how the course curriculum is structured. And what you're expected to gain is obviously understand everything about project management, the core processes, the methodologies that you need to know to manage projects at scale. And of course, be ready for the PMP exam. You gain the confidence because you learn through case studies. You also have access to simulation tests that help you understand, where you are in terms of readiness. And of course, it builds you up for becoming having the mindset of a project management as well. And eventually, the certificate, opens you up to a lot of opportunities. And a lot of organizations actually recognize the PMP certification. So that's what you're expected to gain. And this is how your certificate, training completion certificate looks like. So you get this, program completion certificate and a digital badge from Simplilearn. So Simplilearn has partnered with PMI for offering this training, right? So you're going to be taking this session from PMP training course advisors. Course advisors, one of them is actually, one of the course advisors is actually Bryan. We also have other amazing trainers as well. So you should be able to find who your trainer is in the upcoming cohort, either from the course page or also a learning advisor can help you with this information, right? So how do you become a part of the course is just very simple steps. So basically, all you have to do is to scan the QR code that's there here, and you click on enroll, and then you'll be able to see the cohorts and also the price, right? But also another option is for you to click on a yes on the poll that I'm about to launch. So when you say you are interested to enroll in the program, you are contacted by a learning advisor. Now, how much are the course fees? So you pay close to $700 with discount if you live in the US, but let's say you live in India. you pay close to 11,000 rupees, and you also have the option to get the option to pay through installments. You have these finance providers help you with easing that burden out as well. Now, one more thing that's important to note here is that, of course, the date is a little, it's old, but this particular Happy Five coupon code is available for the next 1 week. So if you want to be a part of this cohort, which is 24th, or in the next month, next weekend, you should be able to do that with the help of Happy Five. So let me just help you understand how your enrollment steps should be. If you've clicked on a yes, expect a call from a learning advisor. They should be calling you anytime soon if you live in the US. But let's say you live in India and any other country can receive a call tomorrow. So let me just help you understand how this works. You click on the link that I've just shared. Okay, I'm just closing down the chat. You click on the link, it takes you to the course page. You're able to see the course curriculum. You're also able to see the schedules. Remember, I said you can check who your trainer is going to be. Just a minute. Yeah, here you go. And this is, according to the Indian times, you can kind of check who your trainer is going to be as well, when your cohort starts. And then when your Happy Five ends. So remember I said it expires in a week. So this code Happy Five expires on the 29th of May 2025. And one more thing that is important to note here is that you have something known as the Flexi Pass reschedule. So what happens if you want to shift your cohort to a later date, you can still do that using this option of Flexi Pass. Okay, but your rescheduled cohort should start within first 90 days of enrollment. So if you enroll anytime now and you want to reschedule your cohort, you can do that, over the next 3 months. That's how it is. And you can take a look at any upcoming cohort here. Okay. Ideally, if you want to take the test, you should be joining in the earliest cohort as soon as possible, and get done with the aspect of getting these 35 contact hours as well. So that's how this PMP certification training is structured. In case you want to look at success stories also, and who our program advisors are, all the questions that you have about eligibility, all of this is available on the course page. So you can check out the stories of these learners who have actually passed their PMP after taking our coaching. Okay, so I've just launched a very quick poll. So make sure you choose a yes if you're interested in the course. Just going back to the deck. Now, just a couple of giveaways that I was mentioning. Remember, I said there are 2 giveaways actually. One is, okay, let me go back to the deck. Very sorry. Yes. So one of them is going to be giving you the downloadable version of the deck that we have, which actually has the prompt that Bryan used. So if you just remember Katniss, we're going to go back to what Bryan gave as a prompt, remember? So he gave this as a prompt. We're just going to share it with you as well, so you can play around with the prompt. Also experiment with the other prompts that are there here. So we're going to share a downloadable version of this deck along with the recording of the session. Right, so that's giveaway number 1. And another giveaway is for you guys to test yourself in the PMP. Okay, so let me see if I can share the link with you. So just hang around for some more time. I'm just going to share a link where you can check your PMP readiness with this free test. Okay, it's just a small test that helps you understand, tests you in the various areas or the domains of PMP, and then you can check your score towards the end, understand the explanations, sorry, and then know how far you are. Okay, here you go. Just make sure you save these links so that you don't miss out. And Also, how do you get a downloaded version of the deck? How do you get the session recording? We'll collect your names towards the end. Just wait around for some more time. I will collect your name on the poll, and that's how we'll email you these the recording and the deck tomorrow. Okay, that's how it works. So some people had this question about the recording, about the webinar certificate, and the deck. So that's the answer to your question. Okay, let me see if there are any more responses on the poll. So in case you're still interested, please make sure you use the poll to respond. Okay, Akshay, great that you were able to attend. I'm assuming these were sessions, these were webinars, or are these classes that you're talking about? Okay, if they were webinars, great. Glad to know that you attended these sessions and found them useful. Amazing. So I'm just going to close down the poll in the next 10 seconds. Please make sure you give your interest. Yeah, some of you are still opting in for enrolling. Great. Sai Kiran and Akshay, both of you have taken classes, 20 classes, which is amazing. Great, great.
Yeah, congratulations.
That's actually very good. Okay, and how soon can someone actually take the exam after they've completed the training?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little bit up to the person and your confidence, but I think the link that you just shared is actually a great example of how you can take a practice exam. Now, that's just sort of a starter one, but you probably, when you roll for the courses, you'll get four full-length exams that you can take. And my guidance would be take those, assess how well you do. Now, the PMP doesn't provide an actual pass threshold. It keeps that closely guarded, but I would suggest you target 80%. So if you can get
Hmm.
80% correct on the practice exams and do that consistently, then you can take the exam whenever you want. So for some people, that can be done very quickly. You might finish the course
Hmm.
and you've got a lot of experience already and say, "Yep, I've got this." You can take the exam, within a week or two. Others might need a little bit more time to prepare and practice.
Nice. Got it. Got it. All right. So let me end the poll right here. About a third of you present here actually are interested in the course, which is actually amazing. So expect a call from a learning advisor very, very soon. Okay. So I think with this, I'm just going to quickly end the session, help you just reiterate the enrollment steps. Remember, a learning advisor will contact you. Make sure you're ready with your questions. You can check out the details of the course. You can also scan this QR code very quickly in case you want to enroll right away. Use the discount and the coupon code as well. You can do that right away. And another thing, in case you want the recording and the deck that I mentioned, what you do is you should be entering your name here on the poll that I'm about to launch. So this particular poll will ask you your full name. So make sure, to enter your name accurately, correctly, in case you want the certificate along with the other resources that I mentioned. Okay. Now, in case you have questions to ask, I have questions for Bryan. Bryan is already typing the answers. Let me check on the audience on LinkedIn. Have questions. Okay. I think people on LinkedIn are like they're amazed at tool that you use. Atul says, okay, he's actually started using ChatGPT a few months ago and
Okay.
feels helpful. Great guide. Yeah, it's definitely an amazing tool, project management as well. Yeah, end of a great session. Bryan, thanks so much for your time
Yeah,
and also energy. It was
always
amazing
fun.
listening to you. Yeah, yeah. This session was definitely fun. It was great seeing how all possibilities that ChatGPT has, and I'm sure the
Hmm.
other tools, the project management tools, have equally good capabilities or
Right.
AI enabled as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I guess if someone is already a project manager, they might be using them in their job, or they can just follow what you did today. Yeah,
Right. Yep, exactly right.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
everyone. Well, I'm going to check out. Thank you so much again, Parna,
Great.
for hosting this. It was a great
Same here.
session. Feel free to link to me in LinkedIn. And yeah, looking forward to the next one we're going to do.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Looking forward to the next one as well. Bye-bye, Brian. See you.
All right.
See
Take
you.
care, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. 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 We'll probably now end the poll as well in the next few seconds. Akshay, I'm assuming you're asking your certificate for which webinar are you talking about? Okay, all of you guys submitting your names on the Q&A. I won't be able to save them. So if you give them on the Q&A box, there's no point. Please use the poll to answer the question. And in case you have issues accessing the poll, here you go. Yeah, this QR code should help you scan and access the poll. And people on YouTube and LinkedIn, please email us in case you're looking for a webinar certificate, webinars@simplylearn.net. Webinars@simplylearn.net is the email ID. Okay, yeah, right, great. So I'm just going to close the poll down in another minute. Bryan has also left the session, so we're just going to wrap up the session in the next couple of minutes. Please make sure you give in your entries in exact 2 minutes. I won't be able to keep. Can I get the poll screen again? This is the poll's QR code. Akshay, people who are asking me about webinar certificate, Akshay, I think you would have received it because we did share it into all the other learners. But let me check this while I roll out the certificate for this session. Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. Another minute, and then I'm wrapping up the session. And I'm also sharing my screen. Sorry, because I'm using the QR code, maybe I'll just share the email ID on the chat. So in case you need information about webinars, right? Any upcoming webinars, please email us at webinars@simplylearn.net. And remember what I said. So in case you've submitted your name on the poll, you get the webinar certificate. You also get the deck, and of course the recording as well. Yeah. But let's say you want to check your PMP readiness. The tool should help you understand how far you are from your desired score, or where you are in your PMP preparation. You can use that free practice test as well before you enroll. I mean, it's totally up to you. It's totally up to you. Yes. Okay. Almost there. I think another 10 people probably need to respond on the poll out of the 100 that are present now. Yes. Okay. Okay, great. So it's about 10:15 here in India. So I'm just going to close the poll and yes, also going to stop my screen share. In case, let's say audience on YouTube again, in case you missed how on how you can get your certificate, webinars@simplylearn.net is the email ID. Please email us. And also in case you're interested in enrolling, please use the link in the video description to enroll into the next cohort. Okay, so I'll see you again in another session. It was great bringing this session to you. I hope you learned about how you can use ChatGPT. Let me know your thoughts. Like, how did you find the session? What were your thoughts after seeing what ChatGPT can do? Just let us know. Let me know on the chat very quickly. How did you find the session? How did you enjoy it? Oh, sorry. Is the chat closed? Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah. Now you can respond on the chat. Let me know how you find the session. Okay. Great. Thank you, Godwin. Glad you were able to find it interesting. Great, Nagbhushan. Great. Sachin, Shambhavi. Thank you. Yes. Yes, definitely learned a lot about how GenAI can be useful. Um, and you also by now know that GenAI is not exactly your enemy. You don't have to be afraid about it. All you have to do is to just kind of embrace it and use it as a companion, even in project management, right? Okay, great, great. Glad you found the session useful. And how will you get your emails? You've registered for this webinar, so we already have your emails. Do not worry, Godwin. That's the reason we've collected your names so that it appears appropriately. Okay, amazing. So I'll see you in the next session. After you leave the session, you will have the option to, you know, give us a feedback on today's experience. Please make sure you give your feedback on the survey that you have after you leave the session. Right? Please take a few seconds. Just quickly rate us and and let us know what you felt.